The next story concerns public art in Borno.
Good evening. Welcome to the Culture Report. This evening we have with us Mrs. Kastrova, the woman behind the famous clock block. And she's here to talk about a new campaign, I Żarówka ma soku, Even Light Bulbs Have a Statue, that advocates gender equality in Brno public art. Mrs. Kastrova, you have opposed this campaign.
Yes.
Right. Could you expand a little on that for us?
Well, the campaign, even the light bulbs have a statue, and it's assertion that there is insufficient gender equality in Brno public art. Well, of course, we agree with this. We feel that Brno public art has unnecessarily and cruelly diminished the male. The male figure, the male genital, is underrepresented in Brno public art. We have women in allegory and in abstract art, and the male is simply not reflected equally.
Right. Okay. So women are in the light bulb as well.
Certainly, women themselves are not represented in the light bulb. The light bulb itself is an abstract allegory representing, quite cruelly, a mockery of male sexual pleasure.
Okay. All right. Well,
I don't think that I need to explain this.
What about Yosh on the horse? I mean, famously, if looked at from a certain angle, it would appear to be very male. Would you not agree with that?
Once again, here we have a representation of the male, which is only viewed from a particular angle with insider information and for humor. Whereas if you look at the horse as a whole, I think it's quite clear that the horse is female, and therefore the mare is more strongly represented than the male.
All right. Okay. Well, the clock, famously locally nicknamed the dildo in the center, I mean, could it be any clearer?
I think it's quite clear what it is. I agree. And I think even the makers explained what that was. They called it a bullet. And I think it's quite commonly known that the bullet is a vibrator. So this clock or cock is not actually a phallus or phallic. It's not a penis. It is very obviously a vibrator, and here designed for women's pleasure. Nothing to do with men.
Okay.
The clock, if you will, is a representation. It functions as something like a counterpart to the light bulb, where the light bulb represents a man's striving for pleasure and experiencing pain. The clock is a celebration of female sexuality and female sexual power and pleasure and liberation. And this is further driven home by the fact that during times of strife and turmoil in the city, such as the New Year celebrations, the vibrator or clock is transformed into a tampon to protect the woman. There is no representation like this for men.
Okay. All right. So you feel there's actually a lot of vaginal art?
I'm going to have to pause you there and object a little bit to your terminology. The vaginal area would be referring to the birth canal itself. I don't feel that there's vaginal art. I feel that what we're looking at is more labial art.
Labeled art?
No, labial, referring to the inner and outer folds of the vulva.
Right, like the stadium in Qatar, for example.
The stadium in Qatar is more clearly called vulvar art.
Vulgar art.
Vulva, referring to the vulva, the outer part of the female genitals. Again, here you can see this is somewhat like the shape of Brno itself. The city itself is a celebration of female genitals.
Right. Um, okay, well, is there an area where you feel women are underrepresented in Brno public art?
Women outnumber men in allegory. Women outnumber men in abstract art. There is a statue even of a woman who contributed to the city. So I think we're all right there. The only place that I would say that men are represented more than women would be in pedophiles. We have more statues honoring male pedophiles. So I feel like that perhaps could be addressed. A nice statue of a female pedophile.
Okay, Mrs. Castrova, thanks for joining us. Up next, gardening through the back door, how to plant your tulips for most effective growth with our green-fingered dirty Dan.